Hey guys, welcome back. It's Sean, and it is so cold here in Sydney. It is absolutely freezing. I've got the heater on here in the background. I've got a hot tea, my cozy hoodie, and I thought this would be a really great opportunity over the next 10 to 15 minutes, maybe more, to really explain and explore why and how I'm building a high profit consulting business that is calm and peaceful. And it really centers around this philosophy called small by design. And it's exactly how it sounds. It is about building the business in a small, intentional, curated way. And it also stems from my past and my experience. I worked inside two, seven to nearly eight-figure education companies doing anywhere from 300K to $1 million a month across sales, marketing, delivery. I more specifically worked as a chief client officer, working with over 650 plus coaches, creators, consultants, experts. And I've seen every business model, every offer, every setup under the sun. And most importantly, I've seen what more and what big has costed the people that I've worked with, not only the people I've worked with, but also the clients that I've worked with. And I'm talking more team, more revenue, more clients, more funnels, more offers, more product, more system, more everything. And I don't want that. I don't want the complexity. I don't want the chaos. I want simplicity. I want calm. I want profit. And I just want a place that gives me a space to play. And really, in this video, I want to explore and explain why I think small by design is the gateway to that, and why and how I'm using the philosophy of small and design in my business that I'm building. And I hope by the end of this video that if you're a coach, consultant, or expert and potentially resonate the same things that I resonate with, you'll be able to take this philosophy and use it as like a guiding North Star in building and designing your own business. And so, really, I think first things first is I want to make some definitions around small by design, right? Just going to put that there. To talk about small by design in the context of coaching, consulting, education companies is really what you're aiming for when you're thinking about how do I build something that's small by design in this context is you are selling, first and foremost, proximity over volume. You are aiming for 80 to 90% profit margins or more. You are intentionally trying to create a space for only a small amount of people to work with you in terms of limited availability. You are also only having a team that is actually people that you like to work with, but also at the same time is only enough to count on like one hand. And I think lastly is you are keeping things small so that you can give care and empathy to the people that are paying you. And I think this is really what it all comes down to, right? Small by design can look different in a lot of different ways, but I think at the crux of it, this is really what it is, right? We don't have businesses that are always available. We don't have businesses that are always open. We have caps, we have spots, we care a lot. We want to work with a select number of people. We want high profit margins, and we really want to do like the best work that we can, the best work of our lives. And I think small by design forces you as a constraint to think about this and actually do it in a more considerable way when you're building that business. And so the thing I did want to actually pivot towards and think about as well is that when I've explored and explained this philosophy with a lot of people, is a lot of people actually talk to me and say, "Hey, like this actually seems very like unambitious. It sounds very much like in a way that you're not fulfilling the most highest form of yourself, and you're not fulfilling the highest form of the business." And I would actually disagree, and here's why. I think going small by design, first and foremost, it is not about choosing to go small in terms of profit, in terms of revenue, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to yield asymmetrical returns in profit and revenue from a smaller ecosystem, a smaller world that you build that's an extension of you. I think that's the first thing I want to establish. The second thing is that going small, I think, is the most sophisticated. I think it's the most ambitious. I also think it's less fragile. When you look at going big, I think going big is fragile. I think it is when you go too big, you create a place that, like, if it falls apart, it is quite catastrophic. I think also, and actually, this leads me to my next point, going small, and when you look at the market in any way different forms in terms of other niches, other markets in general, what is the most beautiful expressions of expertise? They are usually consolidated into something small. There is nothing cooler than seeing businesses that are like a group or a handful of people that are producing outsized asymmetrical returns in terms of revenue and profit, right? Personally, when I look at the market, particularly in coaching, consulting, education space, the coolest business models, the coolest people that I've worked with have been the ones that had them plus maybe one or two other people producing insane outsized returns in terms of their profits from their business. And whether that means they were selling high ticket, low ticket, whatever, I believe that the coolest thing was when people were actually building something that was small and consolidated. And even the most interesting companies that are outside of the coaching education space are actually ones that are building and generating insane revenues from a small amount of people. And so I think it is the most sophisticated form of expertise is when things are built in a small way. The other thing that I think on terms of this point is that going small is dangerously profitable. And I'll explain what I mean. One, it's dangerously profitable in the sense that when you compare having a business that is 30 to 50% profit margins, that has a large team and a lot of different offers for a lot of different people, versus having something that is more 89% margins, tiny team, and is calm and is a genuine extension of you, what happens is you can pull more profit out of the business. You can actually then make more decisions. You can make more riskier decisions. You can do more interesting things. And the other thing as well is when you have something small, you don't have something large to protect, which makes you dangerous in the market because you can pivot. You're more nimble, you're less fragile, and you're more flexible. And when I think of the flexibility that I personally want in my business and being able to do different things, be able to pivot in different ways, I believe that having something small just gives you the optionality that having something big doesn't. And so when I think about what I'm building and how I'm thinking about building my offers, my positioning, everything, I believe that trying to keep things insanely small, particularly with the tools that we have available to us today, is the highest form of sophistication being in this market. The other thing that I will say when it comes to going small and taking this pathway is that, as I was mentioning before, and this is something that I've built into my business, and I think some of the most successful businesses in the coaching education space are doing right now, is that scarcity is a feature. And what ends up happening when you add scarcity as a feature is that you're not in a battle every month to actually acquire and be on this acquisition treadmill. And what I mean by this is that when you can define a set amount of people in the world that you just need to acquire to go hit your revenue target, and that's all you need. And in the beautiful part is that you have this limited availability. So personally, for example, in my Simple Profits partnership, which is my consulting company, I only need 12 people in this season of Simple Profits. I only need 12 people. And where that leads me is that I'm not on this acquisition treadmill to just have 12 people. All I need is 12 people to believe in the philosophy of Simple Profits. And then I go from this place of actually thinking about monetizing my audience to really just finding 12 people who just love the philosophy. And what's really beautiful as well is that if I can actually then have a space that is small, that is limited, and I can work with a smaller amount of people, I actually get to care more. I get to show more empathy. And that's actually better for the business in general because you create a flywheel. The more that you can care, the more you can actually get your clients results and work with them more intimately, the longer that they stay, and the less you have to actually then keep on acquiring new customers in general. And this is something that I've seen across so many different business models and the people that I've worked with. The most beautiful, coolest business models and the people that I've worked with had that built in. They just worked with less people. They did not sell volume, they sold proximity, and they worked with the most like smallest amount of people that they could, whilst also satisfying what was necessary in terms of revenue. And so that's like the other component here is that if you're able to then build something small and you're able to curate your offer in such a way where it is intentionally small, it's higher price, people work with you, it's you sold in different levels of access, right? Done for you, done with you, do it yourself. You can sell something that is like a high touch mastermind, group coaching, and then maybe just like tools and trainings. These are things I think are very smart because you just get a lot more leverage in the way that you work. And if you can build your offers in such a way where they're priced high, You don't have to be on an acquisition treadmill as much as you can. The last thing, well, actually, I wouldn't even say the last thing, because I think this is actually, it kind of touches on this idea of being able to care more. I'll tell you a story. When I worked as a chief client officer, I managed probably about 70, 80 accounts. And I felt guilty so much. And the reason I felt guilty is that I couldn't care to the level that I could, meaning that I had 70 to 80 people that I knew needed proximity and care from me. And there's only so much care and empathy I think a human can give. And when you've got that many people requiring your attention, it just creates this very unfortunate space where you're not able to give people what they need. And even personally for me, that was really hard. I have this sense in me that I really want to take care of people. And so in this switch now, in this new kind of, I would say, journey for myself, is I now only have to work with 12 people. And the beautiful thing about that is the 12 people in my business, and if you think about your business as well, and you think about how many people you work with, if you work with a limited number of people, what ends up happening is you can actually care more and give more care per person, more empathy per person. And again, it contributes to that flywheel of keeping people a lot longer. Your renewal rates go higher, your LTV is higher. But I think what's more important is those people, they don't become accounts. They're not accounts to manage. They are friends that you get to work with. And that's really what I also want. I want to work with friends. I want to work with people I love. I want to work people that I can have wine with and that I can sit and have a nice dinner with. And I think the beautiful thing is like when I've now built this business in such a way where I can only work with a limited amount of people because it's small, it's intentionally that way. I get to have friends that are clients and I get to work with fewer people so that I can actually care and I can actually give them the result that I want to give them. And I think that's like the most important part of keeping things intentionally small. And I think that is, within the context of being able to grow something, grow something that is small, I think is the best way to do it. And I would say that the last thing when it comes to why small by design is really, really powerful is my real reason as to why I want more calm, more peace, and how I aim to get that is by keeping things small, by working with only a few people, by only deciding that it's 12. What I truly want is I don't want a business that binds me to anything. I actually want a business that allows me to have the freedom to pursue other interests that I really, really enjoy. Because in this season of my life, if I keep things small and I intentionally keep them small by design, I can generate outsized returns in terms of profit and revenue, but I can also generate outsized returns in terms of my time and where I allocate that time. And I'm able to build a business that allows me to just go on random walks and go wander and go read different things and explore different interests. Like my personal interest right now, and something that I've been interested for a long time, is discretionary trading, investing. I want to be able to just go and design and think about thematic investment themes and be able to allocate capital that I have into those things. And it takes a lot of time. And I want to be in a place where I have a business that supports me in pursuing other worthy interests that I really resonate with, that allows me to not be so one dimensional. And so in this period of my life, by going small, I'm able to give time to the things that matter, not only just my interests, but also my partner, Melissa. I'm able to go help her around the house and do different things and be able to take her to work and bring her back and go for a random walk with her whenever she wants to go. And I think those things are starting to matter more and more as I have spent all this time in these larger, I would say, institutions of coaching education companies. And, again, I just want a place that is not binding me and that allows me to do the things that I want and when I want. And so, to kind of close this out, how I'm applying this all in general is I have 12 people that I work with. I want to work with them for a very long time because I play long-term games with long-term people. I'm keeping things small, but I'm marketing it big because if I can keep my supply very small and generate infinite supply, if I can keep my supply very small and generate infinite demand, then I create a business model that is very skewed in a very good way. And I think lastly, in this season in general, I call it season one of Simple Profits. I want the things that I truly want is I want to basically have more profit, client happiness, extra leisure, peace and calm, and be able to do the things that I want when I want. And by designing my business in such a way where small by design is a core philosophy that I'm adopting, I can really have those things and I can have a lot of fun. And if you want any of those things that I just mentioned, I would also encourage you to take advantage of the philosophy of small by design. I would also recommend you to start looking at companies that have the highest revenue per head and look outside of the coaching education space for other inspiration, because I think there's a lot of inspiration out there that can kind of yield better returns in terms of what you build and how you build it. And so, really, building small by design gives me all this. I hope it gives you the same things. And if you want to hear more from me and more things like this around the philosophy, the philosophical takes, and also the technical breakdowns, because I also do that in terms of, being able to fix different constraints in coaching, consulting, education businesses, but in such a way that keeps things calm, peaceful, and very profitable. I have a newsletter. It's down below. You can give it a click and give it a like. And it's also where I put a lot of different offers for people who want to work one on one with me. And really, that's it. I hope you have an amazing day. I'll talk to you soon. Ciao.